I am Crystal Carey. I am Chris Carey on Instagram. I am a plant-based lifestyle blogger sharing food recipes, vegan ideas, lifestyle content. I became a content creator because I wanted to share my food content with the world when I became vegan. And I started videoing it and it got a lot of feedback. People wanting to know how I did this and how I did that. So that's how I pretty much started with the inquiry. And I just took it and ran with it. It's important for us to be in the forefront and to show our creativity in many different ways. You know, to show younger generations of women that we can do it. You know, you can be the same thing that, you know, I can be. Whatever it is that you want to be, just go for it, do it. That's why it's important to show those future generations that they live their wildest dreams. Creating my content has kept me focused on my lifestyle. It's challenging, but I wanted to show people, especially people of color, how easy it can be to convert to the lifestyle, live the lifestyle, just the day-to-day things that I do. And I'm a mom of 5, how I got my boys on board. My husband wasn't vegan, he's on board now. And just showing that to people in its transparency, how easy it can be. And you can do it if I can do it, juggling all the things I juggle. I cook a lot. I cook sometimes 3 to 4 meals a day plus snacks. So all of those things get filmed. So that's where it starts. I start with a weekly planner for meals and snacks for my family, my kids and everything. And it goes from that point. I grocery shop, I plan that out as well. 2-3 times a week I'm in the stores, certain stores for certain items. The biggest misconception of a vegan lifestyle is that it's expensive. And that's just not true. Yeah, if you're buying prepackaged, vegan goodies, yes, but if you focus on whole foods and being plant-based, then it's not expensive at all. I definitely take advantage of local farmers markets and little black-owned shops and grocery stores. That's the focal point of my shopping because I want to pour back into our communities. You know, these are the communities that serve us and will serve us for the future, so it's important to amplify those venues and entrepreneurs in any way that we can.